The young girl said, "Don't say Wei Wuxian. Even if it's second young master Lan coming to seek marriage, I still wouldn't accept." The old man said, "Hey, you're quite bold with your words. Why don't you say eldest young master Lan then?" The young girl said, "Eldest young master Lan is going to be the sect leader in the future. The one he marries would have to manage the chaotic mess that is the Lan family, no way." The old man said, "You're part of the Lan family too. Why are you talking badly about your own family? Where is the Lan family messy? If you think the Lan family is chaotic, I guess you can't stand anywhere else. You little girl, why do you seem to become more and more withdrawn? I think you should find an old graveyard to live in. No one will bother you there." The young girl said, "I'd like that, but the spirits in the ancient tomb, like you old ghost, are even noisier." The old man angrily jumped up from his mat, but couldn't catch her, hopping a few times on the spot, so frustrated he couldn't say a word. The young girl's elder sister said, "Ah, Yun, don't make your father mad." The elder sister, seeming more sensible, soothed the old man. "What kind of person is Wei Wuxian?" The old man saw that his eldest daughter unusually took interest and happily slapped the table, eagerly feeding her charming tales. "This Wei Ying is the first disciple of Jiang Fengmian of the Yunmeng Jiang clan. You know the Yunmeng Jiang clan, their family style is unrestrained. And, no. How to put it? Yes, frank and straightforward. Frank and straightforward. Famous for producing charming rakes. No, rakish sons. This Wei Ying is even more beloved by everyone. At least that's the rumor." The elder sister said, "So, Dad, you haven't actually seen him?" The old man said, I caught a glimpse of him from afar when repairing the kin for second young master Lan Wangji." The younger sister Ah Yun said sarcastically, "Dad, you really have sharp eyes." The old man was completely unaware of the sarcasm, patting his belly satisfied, about to tell the sisters more about the romantic figures from the Jiang family, then caught sight of a white-clothed figure lingering at the door. "Second young master Lan, here to pick up chin strings? Sorry, I didn't see you." The old chin master hurriedly went out to greet him. Inside the room, younger sister Ah Yun sat upright on the blue mat. Elder sister Ah Ya nodded politely from afar to Lan Wangji. Lan Wangji returned the gesture but did not enter, his gaze briefly sweeping over Ah Yun, who responded with equal calm. At dusk, Lan Wangji carried a basket to feed the rabbits. 2 little snowballs rolled on the grass, hopping around his white boots. Lan Wangji picked up a carrot to feed them. Their pink noses twitched as they rubbed against his slender fingers. Placing the carrot in the grass, Lan Wangji gently touched the lively white rabbit, which flicked its ears and licked his palm. Lan Wangji was slightly lost in thought. What are you daydreaming about while looking at the rabbits? Missing someone? Feeling sentimental? Came a familiar voice, approaching. Lan Wangji did not turn around and said, "Elder brother, please don't joke." Lan Xichen smiled casually, unbothered. "I came to tell you some good news." Lan Wangji put down the rabbit. Lan Xichen said, "Lan Shuya and Lan Moyun, the 2 sisters, are going to Yunmeng for matchmaking. Love Qijun and his wife are elderly and it's inconvenient for them to travel far. I want you to represent the Lan family and accompany the 2 sisters." Lan Wangji squatted on the ground, silent for a long time. Lan Xichen could not see his expression, only that he gently held a rabbit in his arms and tightened his hold a little. The white rabbit moved its head inside his embrace, slipping about and rubbing his arm, seemingly puzzled why its owner suddenly grew tense. Seeing he said nothing, Lan Xichen muttered to himself, "Ah Ya and Ah Yun are outstanding in both temperament and appearance. By then, I believe you won't need to say much. Jiang clan and young master Wei will have their ideas by themselves. Love Qijun and his wife also have no doubts about young master Wei's character and family background, so you don't need to investigate on their behalf. It's quite an easy task. There's nothing much to worry about on this trip. If any matters can't be decided, just send a letter back, and Lofi Qijun will give instructions. I suppose you won't shirk from this duty, right?" Lan Wangji gently rubbed the rabbit and spoke softly. "Why don't the elders go? For a young lady's matchmaking, elders usually assist. The elders had more life experience. They've eaten more salt than rice, and were well versed in social etiquette. They can identify and handled various situations during marriage negotiations. It was indeed a bit strange that such a young man like him was asked to do it instead. Lan Xichen's expression was somewhat strange, seemingly hesitant. Lan Wangji glanced at him sideways and he finally said, "The elders hold many prejudices against young Master Wei. Well, it's inevitable there will be some unpleasantness. If it causes hostility, that would be bad. Besides, Love Qijun believes you conduct yourself properly, know when to advance and retreat, and trusts you. You can also take the opportunity to visit young Master Wei. Isn't that good?" His tone suddenly turned cheerful. Lan Wangji, however, was displeased. "I also have many prejudices against him. There will be some unpleasantness, and hostility may arise too. They might even end up fighting." Lan Xichen smiled faintly, as if testing, "You really don't want to go?" Lan Wangji answered, "No." Lan Xichen looked at him askance and slowly dragged out, "Really? Not going?" Lan Wangji pressed his lips together and said nothing. Lan Xichen watched him for a moment, then reached out to tease the rabbit in his arms. The white rabbit leapt out from Lan Wangji's embrace to play with him, mischievously rolling onto the ground. When Lan Wangji tried to catch it, the rabbit shook its head and hopped away to play elsewhere. Lan Xichen said meaningfully, "Wangji, once young Master Wei truly get married, it will be very difficult to find him to play with." Saying this, he did not wait for a response from Lan Wangji and walked away, smiling. Lan Wangji watched him leave, slightly distracted. After a while, he looked down. The lively rabbit nestled beside its companion, biting its ear and nudging its body. The two rabbits tumbled together, while carrots lay desolately in the grass. However, Lan Qiren disagreed. He looked deeply at Lan Wangji. "Wangji, are you willing to go?" Lan Wangji slightly nodded. Something was wrong. Wasn't Wangji the one who disliked Wei Ying most? Lan Qiren stroked his beard, frowned deeply, thought for a moment and said two words, "No way." His gaze swept across Lan Wangji's face, like a farmer anxiously guarding his cabbage seedlings. Lan Wangji pressed his lips tightly and lowered his head to contemplate. Lan Xichen couldn't figure out his thoughts and felt a little angry at his lack of ambition. Momentarily ignoring his silly younger brother's stubbornness, he directly said to Lan Qiren, "But uncle, Love Qijun has already agreed to this, and the two elders are very glad for Wangji to go." Lan Qiren said, "I said no." He sounded a bit angry. Lan Xichen was anxious, but Lan Qiren lifted his teacup and took a sip. Wangji's studies cannot be neglected. For Lan Qiren, academics were more important than anything else. Lan Xichen was truly difficult to argue against, but everyone present knew that this was merely an excuse. What he really cared about was obvious to them, three present. Wei Wuxian himself was a walking dye-vat, bright, clever, lively, and the most troublesome kind of mischief. No matter how well Lan Wangji controlled himself, he was still young. A pure and good seedling might be corrupted by bad influence. How could Lan Qiren explain to the ancestors in the ancestral hall back then? Lan Qiren was about to continue when Lan Xichen gave Lan Wangji a meaningful look and said gently, "Wangji has worked hard on his studies lately. Uncle has noticed. Why not take this opportunity to let him rest? After returning, he will work twice as hard, and his studies won't suffer. If there is any problem, Uncle will punish him." Lan Qiren opened his mouth, quite surprised by Lan Xichen's insistence. He tugged his beard, feeling a surge of irritation for some reason, and asked, "Why are you so determined to have Wangji go?" Lan Xichen straightened up slightly and said solemnly, "If no one in the family goes, I'm afraid we will ruin the marriage prospects of the two young ladies." This was true. Otherwise, this task wouldn't have fallen to Lan Wangji. He spoke seriously and without personal feelings, making it hard for Lan Qiren to refuse. Master Lan Qiren, steward of the Lan family, weighed the future of his precious seedling against the marriage of the two girls, tangled and troubled. While stroking his jaw, his beard got caught in knots, tangling his fingers. Surprised, he froze, angrily pulled his hand out and dryly said, "I'll go." Both brothers were startled. Lan Qiren waved his hand impatiently, his face turning stern. "I'll go, that should be enough, right? Wangji stays here to study." Lan Xichen's spirit drooped immediately, not expecting Lan Qiren to be so guarded. Meanwhile, perhaps even the god of matchmaker couldn't bear it, and secretly twitched the red thread. Lan Wangji's little finger twitched. He tapped the wooden desk, and after a while, his eyelids started twitching. The corner of his mouth slightly twitched. and he felt all wrong inside, as if a tiny Wei Ying was drumming inside his skull. That little fellow hopped excitedly, shouting, Lan Zhan, come visit me." Restless and disturbed, as if possessed, Lan Wangji pressed his temples for a while, his head spinning. Finally, unable to hold back, he spoke the sentence he'd been brewing for some time. "Family affairs are many. The head of the family cannot be absent for a day. If uncle is busy, there is no need to go." The silly younger brother finally came to his senses. Lan Xichen was delighted, slapping the table. Lan Qiren's teacup jumped from the knock. He grabbed the corner of his robe and glared angrily, while Lan Xichen lowered his head obediently. Lan Qiren clicked his tongue a few times, adjusted the armrest on his low chair, and sat back firmly. He stared at Lan Wangji. "Your studies are important." Lan Wangji looked back calmly. "Uncle, family affairs are important." The two were at a stalemate. The atmosphere was a bit tense. After a moment, Lan Qiren clapped his hands. "We both will go." Lan Xichen sighed, thinking Uncle Qiren had made up his mind to personally protect the seedling. The three, uncle and nephews, each with their own thoughts. Ultimately, studies and family affairs were both compromised. 3 days later, Lan Qiren and Lan Wangji, along with the Lan sisters, departed to Lotus Pier for the matchmaking gathering hosted by Wei Wuxian. Why did Lan Wangji ultimately agree to go to Yunmeng?